We're joined by Robin Ventura. Skip, Tiki, and Tierney. How are you today?
I'm good. How you doing?
We're doing well. I mean, listen, Rob, you've been around the game a long time. You played in some high-profile markets. You've won, you've lost, you played in big games. This is year number 5 with the White Sox here. And it started off pretty well. Then you won 80-something games, 85, 86. And then there was a rebuild. Last year was disappointing, I think, for everybody. What went wrong last year? 76 wins. I think a lot of people thought you guys could be a playoff team, including myself. What happened?
I think out of the gate, offensively we just didn't score runs out of the gate, and I think at that point guys started pressing. You get a lot of new guys coming in and filling in positions, and if it doesn't happen out of the gate, I think there was a little bit of pressure there to be able to produce, and offensively we didn't do it. I think we had some question marks defensively of being able to do it, thinking you're going to score some runs. I think the combination of those of not doing well really put us in a hole at the beginning of the year.
Robert, I'm curious how you process this, and quite frankly, it's probably different than management, who obviously they want to win, but there's more of an overall business model. I mean, you're the manager; it's more baseball related. But the rise of the Cubs and the market of Chicago. I mean, the Cubs on paper are phenomenal, as you well know. Does it intensify the pressure for the White Sox to handle their business with the Cubbies rising?
I mean, they have a good situation. I think they've gone through their rough patches, and they got some some good young players. But it doesn't change what we're trying to do or how we're doing it. You can't control that, so you really need to put that on the side and be able to get guys that you think are going to help your team. And you're not doing it for publicity or market share or anything like that. We want to be a good team just because we want to be a good team for our own fans, let alone thinking about anybody else. So you can appreciate the thought that everybody has about you might be comparing yourself or you're competing with them. We're not competing with the Cubs. We're competing with the team that's playing against us, and that's the only thing you can do. And I think we've address the things that we feel like we needed to do in the offseason, and we're pretty excited about what we got.
Robin, when you think back to the Adam LaRoche story, we dissected it. We looked, we heard the explanations. We saw the near locker room revolt that you talked them out of. It's not necessarily about what happened with Drake and the issues upstairs, but is there a lingering effect still in that locker room because of that?
I don't think so. I think we're at a point like everybody's over it, and being in sports and being in the locker room, a guy made a decision. He's not here anymore, and guys respect him for that. But you got to move on and do your job, and I think in sports, guys are able to do that. And everybody in that locker room's focused and ready to go. And it probably took 4 or 5 days to be able to get through that. But I think right now these guys are excited for opening day, and I don't see that being the issue going forward. I think they're all in sync and ready to get out of Arizona and start playing some baseball.
We're talking to Robin Ventura, the manager of the White Sox. He's with us here on Tiki and Tierney, CBS Sports Radio. I don't know if it was different locally back in Chicago, even though you guys aren't there now, but like the local talk scene. But I feel like nationally we heard a lot from Kenny Williams. We heard a lot from Chris Sale and a few other players. But I feel like we didn't hear as much from you. I mean, Adam LaRoche is a good player. He's not a great player, but he's good. He's a good fielder. He's a good power bat. He could do some damage with a fastball. From a baseball point of view, you're going to miss this guy, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, I mean, we brought him in to be a first baseman and be a DH and bat behind LaRoche. So, going into it was, we were counting on him to do certain things. And I think once you don't have him, it changes into now our DH is probably going to be more of a rotating position. As we got a few outfielders that we can fill that void with. But, I mean, he was brought in to do a certain thing that we felt like we needed, and you have to adjust once he's not there.
Yeah. And I think you guys did adjust with this, and there's something, quite frankly, that I think that you really needed to address, so I commend you for doing it. You had to get somebody, behind Abreu, because I know he struggled against lefties. He was in the 230 range against lefties, and he's a masher. But now with Todd Frazier behind him, I mean, you can't really pitch around Abreu. So the middle of the order is about as good as it gets in baseball. You guys should crank out a ton of runs.
Well, it changes the dynamic, definitely. And I think, you bring a guy like Frazier in, there's always these guys that you bring in that, they fit personality-wise for a certain type of team. And Bringing him in, Jimmy Rollins comes in, Alex Avila, Deontay Navarro, Brett Lowry, all new guys that are in, but it's gelled really quick, and I think it's something. There's a certain amount of professionalism that these guys bring, and Jimmy had it as soon as he got here. As soon as he walked in the locker room, there was instant respect, and he can still play, which is even better. But
yeah.
I think you start looking around the room, and there's in the last couple of years, we've been pretty young in positions and inexperienced. Where now we're very experienced at those spots, and guys that just know how to play. But they've really clicked together pretty quickly.
Skip, taking a look at your rotation, Chris Sale is Chris Sale. He's just amazing. Even had a little tough stretch at the end of the year last year. Carlos Rodon, who is young, was a rookie last year.
Love him.
You got to love him. You got to be confident. But how confident are you in the rest of the guys behind those two?
Well, if you're comparing them against those guys, I think you'd look at the rest of the league and say the same thing. But the first three, you're looking at guys that are pretty special. I think everybody has high expectations for them. The other guys, they're confident enough to go out there and get us some innings. I think the best part about it is we're not asking those guys to go out and shut out people. I think we're going to be able to score some more runs, and I think you got to just keep us in the game and give us a chance to win it. And the competitor part of having Danks and Latos is going to be the biggest thing for them, to just go out and compete and keep us in it till we can win it.
All right, Skip. I picked you last year to get to the wild card. Didn't work out.
Well, don't do it this year.
Hey, it wasn't my fault, man. Trust me, I didn't jinx you. I'm not a mush. I'm probably going to pick you again as well because I love even Quintana. I think your rotation's good. Robertson is a phenomenal closer. I expect some noise out of Chicago this year, so going to be fun to watch you play. Have a good season, Skip.
All right, thank you.
Good luck.
You got it.